Welcome to What Dwells Beneath. In this podcast, we'll be taking on an atmospheric and investigative approach. We'll be diving deep into the mysterious and unexplained with a serious lens, bringing you detailed research, intriguing case files, and an eerie ambiance that will draw you closer to the truth. This is actually a transformation. What Dwells Beneath was inspired from my previous podcast that I ultimately decided to step away from. This is something I've been eager to pursue to shape the show into something more serious and aligned with my vision. I want What Dwells Beneath to be a podcast that we can all be proud of, a place where we can explore the unknown with rigor and fascination. I won't be embarking on this journey alone. Joining me is my talented producer, Ozma, who will be instrumental in running things on the production side. From there, I have several research assistants, including Cryptid, a good friend and community moderator of mine. All are eager to help with various topics that interest them. Together, we will strive to bring you high-quality content that will be captivating and it will intrigue you. As we delve into this podcast, you might notice that we refer to ourselves by our handles instead of our real names. This choice is rooted in a few important reasons. Firstly, it allows us to maintain a level of privacy, which is essential in today's digital age. Secondly, it helps us stay consistent with our branding across various platforms, including YouTube, Twitch, and now this podcast. Using our handles makes it easier for our audience to recognize and connect with us no matter where they encounter our content. Ultimately, this approach keeps things simple and cohesive, allowing us to focus on delivering the best possible experience for our listeners. Expect more in-depth investigations, compelling stories, and an immersive experience that will leave you pondering the mysteries of our world. Whether you're delving into the tales of cryptids, unraveling true crime cases, or exploring the possibilities of extraterrestrial encounters, What Dwells Beneath will be there for your gateway to the unknown. We will also be incorporating personal encounters from our listeners, adding a unique and engaging dimension to our episodes. Your stories will be an essential part of our exploration into the unexplained. So let's embark on this new journey together. Thank you for your continued support and being a part of What Dwells Beneath. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes, and as always, keep an open mind as we venture into the unexplained. Welcome to What Dwells Beneath, the podcast where we dive into the case files of the supernatural and the unknown. I'm your host, Percival, and I'm thrilled to guide you through this new chapter of our exploration into the eerie and the unexplained. Today, we have a spine-tingling topic that has grabbed the attention and terrified many: black-eyed kids. So what exactly are black-eyed kids, or BECs, as they're often referred to? These mysterious entities are said to resemble children between the ages of 6 to 16, with pale skin and haunting, completely black eyes. They are often reported to appear at night, approaching unsuspecting individuals with unsettling requests, such as asking for a ride or to enter their home. You might be wondering why we've chosen to explore black-eyed kids in this episode. Well, the legend of BECs is a relatively recent addition to the world of the supernatural, but has quickly gained a significant following thanks to numerous alleged encounters and eerie sense of dread that surrounds them. Their dark nature, coupled with the sheer terror they invoke, makes them perfect subject for our deep dive into the unknown and our very first episode. In the coming moments, we'll dive into the origins of this legend, the common characteristics of these entities, and several theories that attempt to explain their existence. So turn off the lights, get comfortable, and let's embark on this unsettling journey together. The legend of the black-eyed kids are unlike any age-old myths and legends that have been passed down through our generations. The BEC phenomenon emerged in the late 20th century. One of the recent and most influential accounts comes from Texas reporter named Brian Bethel. In 1996, Brian Bethel shared his chilling encounter with two black-eyed children on a ghost-related mailing list. Here's a detailed account of his experience. Bethel was sitting in his car, writing a check to pay his internet bill at a drop box near a movie theater in Abilene, Texas. It was an ordinary evening until he noticed two young boys approaching his vehicle. They knocked on his window and Bethel rolled it down slightly to listen to what they had to say. The boys, who appeared to be around 10 to 14 years old, asked Bethel for a ride to their mother's house. They claimed they had come to see a movie but had forgotten their money at home. They assured him that it wouldn't take long and that they were just kids who needed a little help. Despite their seemingly innocent requests, Bethel felt an overwhelming sense of dread and unease. As Bethel's fear grew, he found himself making excuses not to let the boys into his car. Despite their insistence, he felt an instinctive urge to refuse the request. The older boy, sensing Bethel's hesitation, became more demanding, stating, "We can't come in unless you tell us it's okay. Let us in." Bethel's internal alarm bells were ringing loudly, and he quickly rolled up the window and drove away, leaving the boys behind. As he glanced in his rearview mirror, he noticed that the boys had disappeared without a trace. The encounter left him deeply shaken and later shared his experience online, sparking widespread interest and fear. Bethel's encounter quickly gained traction, spreading through online forums and becoming a staple of internet creepypasta culture. People began to share their own alleged encounters with Bex, each story adding to the growing mythos. These early reports shared common elements: children with pitch-black eyes, an overwhelmingly feel of fear, and the children's persistent requests for entry or assistance. As the legend grew, so did the number of sightings. People from various parts of the world began reporting encounters with black-eyed children, often describing similar experiences of dread and unease. These reports were not confined to any specific region or country, suggesting that the phenomena had a global reach. The black-eyed kids legend fits nearly into the broader context of urban legends and folklore. Like many urban legends, it emerged in the late 20th century, fueled by the rise of the internet and the ease of the stories which could be shared. The tale of Bex taps into deep-seated fears and anxieties, such as the vulnerability of encouraging malevolent beings disguised as the innocent. The legend of Bex also shares similarities with other supernatural entities from folklore. For example, the concept of children with unusual or unsettling features can be found in various cultures. In Japanese folklore, there are stories of the eerie, or ghostly children, who exhibit eerie and otherworldly characteristics. In European folklore, they talk about the tales of changelings, children who are believed to be abducted by fairies and replaced with imposter offspring. Moreover, the Beck phenomena draws parallel with other modern urban legends, such as the Slender Man mythos. Both legends emerged from internet culture, spreading rapidly through forums and social media. They also share themes in unsettling encounters with mysterious and malevolent beings, tapping into the collective fears of the unknown and the supernatural. Encounters with black-eyed kids often follow a consistent pattern. These children typically appear at night, often when the sun has set and the darkness has enveloped the area. They are usually seen in pairs or small groups, rarely appearing alone. One of the most common behaviors reported in Beck encounters is the tendency to ask for help or assistance. They may request to be led into a home to use the phone, ask for a ride, or seek shelter. Despite their polite and seemingly harmless requests, those who encounter Becks often report an overwhelming sense of dread and unease. Their persistence is another notable behavior. Becks are known to be insistent, often repeating the request and using polite but firm language to persuade their target. They may say things like, "We need to come in," or "Please let us in," and their tone can become increasingly demanding if met with resistance. But one of the key interesting points here are Becks seem to have an aversion to entering a place without explicit permission. Many reports suggest that they cannot or will not enter a home or a vehicle unless invited in by that person who they are speaking to. This characteristic is reminiscent of vampire folklore, where the creature must be invited into a home before it can cross that threshold. Encounters with these black-eyed children typically occur in specific locations that add to the unnerving nature of these events. One of the most frequently reported scenarios involves Becks appearing at the front door of your home, often late at night. They knock or ring the doorbell and ask to be let inside, citing various reasons such as needing to use the phone or seeking refuge. Becks are also known to approach people on the streets or sidewalks, usually in quiet, dimly lit areas. They may ask for a ride or seek assistance, often appearing out of nowhere and disappearing just as quickly. Another common location of Beck encounters is inside or near vehicles. They may knock on car windows and ask to be let in, offering various excuses for why they need a ride. Drivers often report an intense feeling of fear and the urge to drive away immediately. Some reports place Beck encounters in remote or isolated areas such as hiking trails, parks, or rural roads. These locations add to the sense of vulnerability and fear experienced by those who encounter them. In addition to their appearance and behaviors, there are other notable characteristics associated with black-eyed kids. People who've encountered Becks often report a feeling of unease or dread that washes over them during their interactions. While nothing about the children's appearance aside from the eyes is inherently frightening, this sense of fear and anxiety seems to be a common reaction. There are also reports of Becks exhibiting supernatural or demonic attributes. Some people even claim to have seen Becks with talons for feet or other unusual physical traits. However, these reports are less common and often dismissed as embellishments. Becks are also commonly described as wearing dated or unusual clothing that doesn't match fashion trends for children. This further adds to their eerie and out-of-place appearance. Now, I have two personal encounters I would like to share with you. The first one is titled, "You Must Let Me In." On March 17th, 2008, I had my one and only encounter with the black-eyed kid. Before my experience, I had never heard of anything having to do with black-eyed kids. I was 12, I was sitting outside of the hairdresser's with an old Chevy pickup, waiting for my mom to get her hair cut. About 15 minutes had passed, and I saw some kid walking back and forth along the sidewalk in front of my parked car. At first, I thought I'd recognize him as one of my friends from school, so I banged on the front windshield until he looked my way. It was no one I knew. At this point, I was not scared at all. Not yet, at least. The boy walked over to the side of my car and just stares. I think the reason why he did that was for me to get a good look at his eyes. Let me tell you, if you've never seen a black-eyed kid, you have no idea what to imagine. Pupils black as the night sky, and it envelops the entire eyeball. The boy whispers, "You must let me in," and then I locked the car doors and ducked down in the space below the seats. 5 minutes later, he was gone. When my mother got into the car, she told me a boy with black eyes that came to the hairdresser's and had insisted for her mother to give him the keys to the car. She refused, and thank God she did. Now, there are many encounters on the internet with people's personal experiences with black-eyed kids, but I bet you're wondering, what happens if you let them in? And this next story is titled just that, letting them in. One of the stories goes like this. In the snowy town in the middle of nowhere in Vermont, an elderly couple heard the sound of 3 loud knocks on their door. They opened the door and saw 2 children, a boy and a girl. "Parents will be here soon. May we come in?" the children said. When they looked out the door, the children did not make eye contact and just stood there in the doorway. The elderly couple was hesitant, but after a while, they let the boy and girl inside. The kids settled on the couch while the wife made some hot cocoa and the husband asked them questions that went unanswered. The wife returned and noticed that her cat was scared and angry with the children. They then asked, "May we please use the restroom?" The wife looked at the kids and she finally saw them. The children's eyes were as black as the starless universe. She directed them to the bathroom and returned to her husband, who was covering his face with his hand. He said, "Did you see their eyes?" The husband then showed her his hand full of blood from a nosebleed. The moment she saw the blood, the power suddenly went out and the house turned as dark as the kids' eyes. The wife headed to the restroom and was confronted by the voice of the kids at the end of the hallway uttering, "Our parents are here." The kids then exited the house, leaving the door wide open. The wife then noticed that there were 2 men at the end of the driveway. The men were very tall and slender. The wife waved but did not receive the same friendly gesture. The 2 men and children drove away together in one car. The power then came back on a little later after the kids left. Throughout the next week, weird things happened in the house. 3 out of 4 of their cats went missing, and the 4th had been found dead in the pool of its own blood. The husband continued to have nosebleeds and finally went to a doctor where he was diagnosed with a very aggressive skin cancer. The mystery and unsettling nature of black-eyed kids had given rise to numerous theories about their origin and nature. One of the most popular explanations for black-eyed kids is that they're supernatural entities. Within this realm, several theories have emerged. Some believe that Becks are ghosts or spirits of deceased children who have returned to the mortal world for a malevolent intent. These ghostly beings are thought to use their innocent appearance to deceive and manipulate those they encounter. Another supernatural theory suggests that Becks are demons or demonic entities. According to this belief, the black eyes are the sign of their demonic nature, and their goal is to gain entry into people's homes or vehicles to wreak havoc and spread evil. The persistent and commanding nature of their requests, as well as overwhelmingly sense of dread they invoke, align with traditional depictions of demonic encounters. Some theories propose that black-eyed kids are extraterrestrial origin, very similar to the movie that is on Hulu. In the realm of UFO lore, Becks are sometimes considered human-alien hybrids. Proponents of this theory believe that the kids are the result of genetic experiments conducted by extraterrestrial beings combining human DNA with alien traits. The black eyes seem to be distinguishing features of their alien heritage that is related to the gray alien. Supporters of the extraterrestrial theory suggest that Becks are sent out as scouts or messengers from an advanced civilization. Their purpose is to observe and gather information about human behavior and society. The unnerving nature of their encounter could be attributed to the lack of understanding of human social norms and emotions. From a psychological perspective, some researchers argue that the encounters of black-eyed kids can be explained by various cognitive and perceptual phenomena. One explanation is that these encounters are manifestations of sleep paralysis, a condition in which a person is temporarily unable to move or speak while falling asleep or waking up. During sleep paralysis, individuals may experience vivid hallucinations, often involving intruders or other threatening figures. The black-eyed children could be a product of such hallucinations. Another psychological explanation is the influence of the human mind's tendency to create and perpetuate urban legends. The power of suggestion, combined with the spread of Beck's story throughout the internet, can lead people to believe they have experienced these encounters. This phenomenon, known as mass hysteria, can result in the sharing of similar stories and reinforcement of the legend. Of course, not all explanations for black-eyed kids involve the supernatural or the psychological. Some skeptics argue that the phenomenon is simply a result of elaborate hoaxes and pranks by these children. Given the rise of internet culture and the ease with which stories can be shared, it's possible that many Beck encounters are fabrications designed to entertain or frighten others. Whether they are supernatural beings, extraterrestrial entities, psychological phenomena, or simply the result of hoaxes, Becks continue to captivate and terrify those who encounter them. People are naturally drawn to these stories that challenge their understanding of reality and invoke strong emotions, and Becks are a prime example of this. Now, before we move on, I have one more personal encounter I would like to share with you. This encounter was found on Reddit by the user Hammerhands. Before you say anything, I understand Reddit may not be the best place to gather resources, but from there I can find so many chilling encounters. Hammerhands states, I recently read a story about black-eyed kids. This story felt like a twisted tale of deja vu. I believe I've encountered a Beck. I've never mentioned the particular detail about the eyes to anyone for fear they would think I was fabricating the story or going crazy. The incident took place about 13 years ago. I just had moved to a new city with my wife. We were a small town newlyweds from the Midwest. We moved across country to one of the biggest cities in the Southwest so I could attend graduate school. Being naive and new to city living, I habitually answered the door without a second thought. Never again will I do this. The first thing that should have tipped me off that this was going to be an unusual encounter was the fact that someone was knocking at the door at 6 in the morning. The second thing should have been when it dawned on me that this kid had to reach over a rather tall patio gate to unlatch and open it. The knock at the door was startling. My wife and I were getting ready for work, a pretty normal routine. The moment I opened the door, I was overtaken with an inexplicable sense of fear. To this day, I can picture him. He was a teenager, average height, average build, knee-length black leather coat, short black hair, and sunglasses. The sunglasses at 6 a.m. struck me as cold, and even more cold, he was eating an apple. He was very polite and asked if he could come in and warm up. I said no, closed the door, and slid the security chain into place. A moment later, another knock. I opened the now chained door, and before I could speak, he asked again if he can come in and warm up. No, I replied, and I attempted to close the door. Before the door could close shut, he pushed his hand out, stopping the door on its hinges. He looked directly into my eyes, still wearing his sunglasses, and said, "Can I at least get some ketchup for my apple?" After he said that, I was a bit confused. "Get the hell out of here, my wife is calling the police," I replied. He takes a moment to let this information sink in, lowers his glasses, revealing his eyes are as black as obsidian, and says, "No, you won't be calling anybody." At that moment, I forced the door closed, locked it, and called out to my wife. She is scared, hiding in the bedroom. All jacked up on adrenaline, I rip the curtains back to look out the window next door. He is gone, absolutely no trace of him. I go out on the patio and check the gate. It's still latched from the inside. I investigate the latch and I tell myself that was messed up. But when I turn around, I notice a half-eaten apple lying on the ground. The legend of the black-eyed kids is chilling enough, but they do have a counterpart, and they are called white-eyed children or white-eyed kids. Their unsettling presence adds a whole new layer to the paranormal world. These white-eyed children are a race of humanoid beings who bear a few similarities to the infamous black-eyed children, but they also share several contrasts with them. So much so, some paranormal investigators believe that they are the true masters of the Becks. Much like Beck encounters, the white-eyed children are known to knock on doors or car windows. However, unlike Becks who travel in groups, primarily in duos, the white-eyed children are reportedly seclusive and rarely appear in groups when interacting with their victims. They are also typically sighted in isolated areas such as woods or campgrounds. Also, unlike their relatives, they don't need permission to get inside a victim's house. Instead, they suddenly appear inside when then they seem motionless, and they stare at the witness without any emotion. Also, unlike the Becks, white-eyed children are powerful telepaths, using mind control to communicate. The witness often reports not feeling anything odd with the conversation with the white-eyed children until they vanish into thin air or see their eyes. Many also claim to see the children stare at them weeks or even days after the initial encounter, seeing them in the shadows or somewhere distant in a park. They also often find handprints on their car windows, implicating that they are being followed. Many believe that white-eyed children are actually messengers of death, as they are often shown appearing prior to the death of someone the witness knew, revealing their true nature, being a death omen. Thank you for joining me for the very first episode of What Dwells Beneath. I hope you stick around for future episodes as we descend into the unknown and unexplained. If you, the listeners, have experienced anything with black-eyed kids or anything creepy, true crime, or supernatural related, be sure to email me at percivalcreations@gmail.com. I would love to read your stories on the show during our future personal encounter episodes. Another way to submit your experience is to join our Discord community at discord.gg/taverndwellers. The link is available on my YouTube and Twitch channels, honestly on all my social media, where we also have a lot of fun gaming. You can find the link in the episode description as well. Speaking of Discord, we have a special place where you can submit episode topic ideas and join episode discussions. Additionally, Spotify offers a comment and poll section you should check out. While you're there, go ahead and follow the podcast and rate us 5 stars. I would greatly appreciate it. I'd like to thank my producer Ozma for helping me put this episode together. The information for this podcast was gathered from various articles on the internet from my previous podcast. Once I have those sources, I will attach them to the episode description. That's it for this week's episode of What Dwells Beneath. I'm your host, Percival, signing off. Until next time, stay safe and keep your doors locked.